So welcome to Loop Learnings, and this is video number 2 of how to make inventory management system. And first of all, I would like to thank you all for giving a very positive response of the first video that I have uploaded in this series, just to give you an overview that what we are going to build. And I was quite pleased with the feedback, with the suggestions, that some of the suggestions are coming up. And so thank you very much for all of that. Secondly, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do that and hit the bell icon so you get notification whenever I upload any video. Right, any software application that you are developing, whether it is small, medium, large application, you have to have planning. Planning in the sense of, first of all, understanding the process. It's very important. In this case, the inventory management, the process is that a warehouse, a central warehouse, procure the parts or products from the suppliers, and that procurement happen, and then central warehouse stores those products in the warehouse, and then central warehouse distributes to two locations, location A, location B, and then those two locations serve the customers, basically sell to the customers. So that's what the objective is, that's what the process is. So basically what is happening is procurement and then selling to the customer, and within that cycle we have customers, we have employees, we have account receivable transactions happening, account payable transactions happening. So having all of those factors in mind, you have to design a database first, right? And this is how the database design, this is the basic form of it. Of course, there are a lot of web applications as well that you can use to design the database schema, but I like Microsoft Excel because we can do modification however we wish to do so. So you prepare yourself, prepare the database schema, keeping the process in mind, keeping the requirements in mind. You do the planning and you prepare your database. Now when you're preparing database, you decide what tables you would like to create, and then what attributes of each table would be in order to capture the information that is being generated, or modify the information that is being modified by the user. So all of those factors should be kept in mind, and based on that, the tables and the attributes should be decided. Now we do have quite a few tables to be created, so I would try my best to create all the tables in this video, but that video may become longer, this video may become longer. I would see if I would skip some of the tables and make them offline, but I would love to show you in the tutorial. So let's go to the Microsoft Access. This is the brand new Microsoft Access file. It's totally blank. So first thing we need to do is to create table, and to create table we always go to the create a ribbon tab, and in that we click on table. Okay, and we right click here and we go to the design view, but it is asking us the name. So we'll start from the start. So the first table name would be locations, and see, okay. Other benefit of having the database schema in Excel is just you don't have to type again. You just copy and paste it in Microsoft Access and you are good to go. So first field is location ID. So and this becomes a primary key. You can see a key symbol. Every table requires to have at least one primary key. So this location ID would become a primary key, and it would be auto number, which means in sequential order, when the record will be created, a new number automatically will be assigned to that record. So that's why it's auto number. Location type, this will be string, which mean short text. Now if we if I come down here in the field properties, short text field has field size 255 characters. Now we know that location type would not be a bigger name, so we should reduce the size, field size. Okay, let's make it 50, let's say. Okay, and the reason is, if you want to keep 255, that's okay, that's up to you, but it is unnecessary space that is going to be occupied in the database. Remember, whatever table you are going to create, the table itself, even the blank table itself, occupies some of the space in your database. Okay, so that's why keep the field size relevant to the data type that is going to be entered. And we will say location, and then here location short text, let's make 100 characters for the location. In charge, this will be the person name, so let's make 100 characters maybe. However the bigger name is, I think 100 characters would be okay. Email address, let's make again 100 characters if someone has a bigger email address. Address, that would be the location address, let's make 150 characters for the address. Profit center, well, profit center usually are these profit centers are like codes, right? And usually we can make it like, for example, 50 characters. Now profit center, we will make it automated, so whenever a location is created according to the location type, then we will make that profit center automatically created. So cost center exactly same, so we'll give 50 field size. Status, every table would have status and status date. This is so important. The reason is because every record has a status, whether they are active or inactive, whether they are new or old, whether they are created or modified, whatsoever. So every record has a status, so that's why I would like to keep status, and the characters would be 50, and the last field is status date, and we will keep it date time, but I would like to keep it as a short date. Now one more thing I would like to do before I go ahead, and that is location type. If I'll go to the datasheet view, location type is at the moment is the text field. Well, we would like to keep it text field, but we would like to have a drop down here. So to get the drop down, what I would do is I would change from short text to the lookup wizard. So I will type my own values. So this is what I will do. So I will say central warehouse, that's the code that we can say. So we'll say central warehouse. Okay, then we will say general warehouse, that would be location 1 and location 2 and dash, and then we will say general warehouse. Okay, if you want to add more, you can. If you want to add later on, you can add later on as well. So at the moment we will keep it the simple central warehouse and general warehouse. And if I will go to the datasheet view now we have these two options appears in the table. Okay, so that is it for the locations field. Now let's go ahead and create user activity. As I explained in previous video, the objective of this field, this table, is to record each and every click. Whatever user is doing, record those activities in this table, so we can have kind of trail of activities, which user has clicked on where, which user has created something, which user has modified something, which user has deleted something. We want to keep the record. Okay, so that would become a user activity. So let's create a new table which will be called user activity. So right click on that, user activity. Let's quickly, now I have explained the basics, so it should be by now it should be easy for us to create. Okay, one thing I would like to create. So if you see here location ID, and if I will open location table, you will see location ID here as well. In locations table, the location ID will be the primary key, but in any other table, and of course a lot of tables would have location ID field, so this field in other tables, location ID in other tables would become secondary key, which means later on when we are creating database relationships, we are going to link this location ID, which is secondary field, to this location ID, which is primary field. Okay, so later on I'll explain the types of relationships, etc. So that's why any secondary key, anything that you want to link to the primary key, that has to be given as a number field. If the primary key is in number, right, auto number is number field, therefore we have to give number. If you will give it as a short text and you would like to create a relationship, you will get an error that the data type are not same. The reason is simply because it's the short text in the secondary field, in primary field it's a number. So how the relationship will be created? So make sure that you change the data type to number when you are creating the secondary key. Okay, so that's how you make sure the relationships are created. Okay, transaction type, this will remain as a short text, but we will reduce the size of it. Reference document number, we will keep it as a short text, and we'll give a reference field. The field size would reduce to 25. Let's come here. I want to remove the default value as a 0. I want to keep it as blank. Okay, entry number. Now what do we mean by entry number? Well, I want to give a reference. I want to create an auto entry number. And if I have to give an example, for example, somebody has created a purchase order, right? Okay, somebody has created a purchase order, and that purchase order number is, let's say, 5. Okay, so I want to give a entry number saying when the record will be entered in this table automatically. By the way, you don't have to enter manually. We'll be using record sets to add record in these tables automatically. So when you are creating this entry number, I want to give a reference. I want to automate this. So I want to give like PO dash, or not dash, maybe PO, whatever the number, PO1 activity ID 1. So PO1-1 would be the entry number. Anyway, you will see later on what do I mean by that. But for now, it is just the entry number, and we will reduce the size of it. Description of the activity, what was actually done by the user, and activity type, what was the type of activity, whether it was a new addition to record, or modified, or deleted, whatever the type of activity was done, and when this activity took place. Therefore we need date and time. Okay, and then who has so first of all, the format for this would be not short date. We want date and time together. Action by, and who has done this activity, so that would be the person name. We would bring it here. Okay, so that's the second table done and dusted. Let's go to this next one, product table. All right, table, right click, design view, product. Let's go to the product ID, location ID. Remember, this is a secondary key. It's always in number, and we'll reduce the default value 0. Created on, that will be date and time. So the format would be short date. We'll go to the product, and product name could be 150 characters. We'll go to the product acronym. I want to create an acronym of a product. I will tell you later on why I need to do that, which brand they are from. The product is from the product image, so we'll have attachment as an image, and of course the product status is important, whether the product is active or inactive or superseded, right? We'll change it to date time, and we will keep as a short date. There we go. Product table is done and dusted. You see, when you do this planning, your development will become much easier. If you don't have a documentation created ahead of your development, then you are going to suffer. Okay, all right, so now let's create variants. Each product will have variants. What do we mean by variants? I've given example in first video as well. So for example, a shirt, let's say a clothing store has a shirt from one particular brand. The same shirt would have different colors, the same shirt would have different sizes. So for each color, for each size, we want to create a separate variant, right? So that's why, because maybe the prices are different, maybe the product code is different, not maybe, exactly 100% the product code will be different for each type of product. So that's why each product has variant. So variant ID, location ID, again it should be a number field, and we will remove a 0 from default value. Created on, so when that variant was created, so date time will format should be the short date. Then we'll have product ID as an integer. Now product ID here in this table would become a foreign key, right? The secondary key. So we'll make sure that it is in number. Okay, item image. So we will have this as an attachment. Item name, let's keep it as short text, 150 characters. Vendor SKU. Now vendor would have their own SKU. SKU means stock keeping unit. It's a code, it's a combination of different things. Of course, when I'm going to create form for the SKU, I'm going to explain you more about what is SKU. Okay, for now let's keep it on hold, and rest assured I will explain you what is SKU. Type and color, so we can reduce the size to 25. Size, again we will reduce the size to, we will reduce the field size to 25. SKU, we will also create our own SKU. One SKU is from vendor, because vendor will have its own SKU. We will create our own SKU as well. So we'll give 30 field size for the SKU. UOM is unit of measures. Basically it is like kg or EA for the quantity, liters for the quantity as well. So this will become, so let's go and make a drop down, and we will say EA for the general quantity, for in kilograms, in liters. Okay, and there will be more we can add later on. All right, so that's UOM. Supplier ID, again this will become a foreign key, a secondary key, so that's why we will keep it as a number. Purchase price, and whenever the pricing information will occur, we will have that in number. Okay, and we will have that double. Okay, field size double, and format should be standard. Decimal points 1. That's what we want to keep. the list price. This is the purchase price, and the list price, the price which we are going to list for the customer. Okay, the same settings. Storage location. In a warehouse, it must have certain location where this product will be stored. And again, status is important, and status date. All right, short date. Okay, so that is it. Let's go to the catalogs. So we'll make catalogs. I'll speed this up because I know some of you might be getting bored here now. But those who have never created a database, for them it is a valuable info, I guess. Catalog name, and let's keep it 100 characters for catalog name. A catalog will have an image, and that would be attachment. Status would be 25 characters, and status date would be date and time, and this will always be short date. Okay, catalogs is also done. All right, now let's move on to the inventory management. Okay, for inventory management, we have supplier, so we will create supplier table here, and here we go. Location ID again. So you notice that every table has a location ID, and the purpose of having location ID in each table is to recognize and determine which location has created what record. So it's easy for it's easy for later on for the reporting purpose that which location, central warehouse, location A, location B, which location has actually created what record. So that's why it's important that you give reference of location ID in each table. Okay, it's very important. So I think I have explained most of the basics, so I will just speed up now, so you know, we can finish it as quickly as possible. So I don't want people to get bored here. Okay, contact title, so we'll simply copy it. Contact email, okay, copy that. Phone, let's copy 30 characters. 30 is more, but anyway. City, state, then country, oops, then address, then what do we have? License number, license num. Okay, then we have payment method. Let's have a lookup wizard. So payment method would be cash, credit. Okay, cash or credit. All right, some supplier would definitely work on cash, or some would work on credit, and that would be fine. Payment terms, this will be number field, so by default we'll keep 0. Payment terms, it means that if the payment method is cash, then we will keep the payment term as 0, because that means supplier wants the money as soon as they deliver the products or goods, right? That's what it means. If the payment method is credit, right, if the payment method is credit, then we will have payment term like after how many days the we can pay money back to the supplier. So we'll keep that in number field. Okay, status, short text, again 25, and status date would be date and time, and format would be short date, and that is it. So supplier also done and dusted. Let's make stock transfer. I know the sequence is not making any sense, but this is also a required stock transfer table. Remember, we have 3 locations: our central warehouse, right, which is the main one, and we have the 2 other locations, location A, location B. Essentially it's the same company, but they have different warehouses in different cities. So that's why we need to keep record of flow of inventory, which product is going where, which product is stored where, etc. And therefore we would keep the stock transfer. All right, created on date and time, so short date, transfer by location. All right, so that would be number field. Okay, transfer by, from which location the product is going, and what is the cost center from where the product is going out. Okay, that's what cost center, CC. Transfer quantity, in what quantity we are sending the product. Very, very important. Let's make quantity as double, because some of the items will maybe 0.3 kg, 0.2 kg. So let's make it as double, and we'll standard, we'll keep that format, and decimal point 1. Transfer to location. Okay, so we'll simply copy this, transfer to, that was transfer by, from where the product is going, these 3 fields, and transfer to, transfer to location, transfer to cost center, and this will be received quantity instead of transfer quantity. Okay, so transfer to which quantity, transfer to cost center, sorry, transfer to which location is being transferred, what is the cost center of that location, and then how much quantity they have received as a confirmation, and who has received. That's also very important. Okay, status, short text, we'll keep it as 25 characters, and then status date, we'll have it as date time and short date. Righty, done and dusted. Now let's go to the PO field, PO table. Let's create PO. Okay, PO, and we will have first field as PO ID. PO, by the way, purchase order, which will be used to purchase the products from the supplier or either from the central warehouse. Even though stock is being transferred, that is kind of purchasing, right? It's kind of purchasing even though it is being transferred, but because when the stock will be moved in your cost center, that is your responsibility, right? That will become your asset, your location's asset in the economical terms. All right, so we'll keep the default value empty, not 0. Cost center, see, this is what I was talking about. So cost center, well, 25 characters for the cost center, created by, who has created this PO, and we'll keep 100 characters field size, approved by. So who has approved it? Approved by, and then status would be again 25 characters, and then status date. Okay, this table is also done. Let's move on to the PO lines. Okay, so PO lines, auto number, location ID. Of course, this is a foreign key, so that will be always in numbers. Created on, it will be, format will be short date. PO ID is also the foreign key. Okay, all right, catalog ID, product ID, variant ID. So these are all foreign keys. Catalog ID, then product ID, and then variant ID. All right, supplier ID. So which supplier is supplying that product for which the PO is being created. Item name, SKU. So we'll have item name, and this would become 150 characters. SKU will be 30 characters, field size. UOM. Okay, so again UOM we will keep as a short text, but 15 characters would be field size. Unit price is always in number. The field size would be double. Standard would be format, and 1 decimal point. Default value blank. That's the okay, order quantity and total price. And in here we will say order quantity, how much quantity we have ordered, and then we have total price of whatever the PO is being created, and then we have received quantity. Okay, received quantity, and then we have status. So this will become 25 characters. Status date would be date time, and it would be short date. Okay, so PO line is also done and dusted. Let's move on to the sales management. And for the sales management, we will create sales order first of all. That's the table we will create. We'll go to the order ID, that would remain as order number. Created on would be date and time, that would be short date. Location ID is a foreign key, and therefore it would be a number field. Profit center, it would be a short text, and then order type. Now order type, what are the order types? So let's go to the lookup wizard. We'll make a drop down menu. So what are the order types if we look at from the sales order perspective? So let's say the order type would be a retail store. So somebody has come to the retail store and bought the product. Online, somebody has placed an online order. What else? Retail store, online, delivery. Well, that would be in online order. Anyway, let's keep these two types. If later on, if you have any suggestion, let me know in the comments below, or later on I'll change it myself. customer ID. Somebody originally I did not add the customer, but somebody has recommended me to please add the customer, so therefore I'm adding the customer as well. Invoice status would be 25 characters. Created by would be 100 characters, and then status of the sales order. Okay, then status date would be date and time, and we would like to keep it as short date. So there we go, sales order is done and dusted. Let's go and create another table, and this will be sales order lines table. First would be order line ID, location ID, right? And the default value will keep it 0. Then we have created on and date and time, short date. When order ID will become number field, and because this is a foreign field, we'll remove the 0. Variant ID, for which variant the sales order is being created. SKU, what is the SKU of that variant? We'll reduce the field size to 30. Item name, well, item name would be 150 characters. And then unit price, whenever it is price, you choose the number field. Field size double, standard format 1 decimal point, and remove the default value 0. Okay, then what quantity customer is going to buy? So again, double, standard 1 decimal point, default value 0. Let's have the total price as well. Status 25 characters, and the status date. Here we go. So sales order lines is also done and dusted. Now let's go to the invoice table. Let's create that. Okay, invoice ID, location ID, number field, created on, date and time. So let's fix their properties of the field. Created on, order ID. Okay, what next? Subtotal. So subtotal is basically the pricing value, so this will become number and double, standard format 1 decimal point, default value 0. Total tax, so if there is a tax, then of course that would also be calculated. And then we have discount percentage, certain percentage of discount will be created, so this will be double, percent, decimal point 1, and default value 0. So discount value now, so how much would be the discount? Okay, now let's make this as an automated field. So to make automated field, we will use calculate it, and to calculate how much discount, what we will do, we will simply say total tax into the discount percentage, sorry, subtotal, no, okay, wait a second, amount payable, amount paid, balance. So let's make another field. Okay, So we'll say gross total, and that would be calculated field, and subtotal plus total tax, that would be gross total. And for the discount we will have, wait a second to delete this, save it. Now let's have discount, and it will be calculated. And how do we calculate? Gross total times discount percentage times discount percentage. All right, so that will calculate, but we want it in double and standard decimal point 1. All right, so now amount payable. Now amount payable will also be calculated. Now what do we have in amount payable? So it's simply gross total minus discount, that would become amount payable. Okay. All right, so let's set the format decimal point 1. Now we have amount paid. So amount paid, certain amount will be paid by the customer, double standard decimal point 1, default value 0, and then after the amount is paid there will be balance. Okay, and this will be also the calculated field. So we'll have amount payable minus amount paid, and that will be our balance. And just to fix here, okay, payment type, was it cash, credit, bank transfer, whatsoever? Cash, credit, bank transfer, check, PayPal, any kind of mode of payment that customer has chosen to pay for the invoice. Okay. All right, then we have created by, of course. What is happening? Created by short text 100, then we have status 25 characters, and status date time. All right, invoice is also done. Okay, I think that's enough for today's video. Otherwise, if I'll continue, you guys might go to sleep. Anyway, we have done a little bit of work in this video, and when we come back for the next video, we will continue with these remaining tables, and then in the same video we will create the relationships as well. So that is it for this video. That is it for today. I hope that you have learned something. Thank you very much for your support. Keep watching Loop Learnings, and subscribe to the channel if you have not yet. Hit the bell icon so you get notification whenever I upload a new video, and I will see you in the next one. Till then, take care. Bye bye.